Welcome back to The Deep Dive, the place where we sift through the sources so you don't have to.
Hello again.
Today, we are taking on a career that is it's so massive, so lucrative, and recently so incredibly complex.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a career that almost requires this level of deconstruction. We're diving into the legacy, the strategy, and the unprecedented public image shift of Will Smith.
We're talking about a 4-decade narrative here. It spans music, television, film, and his movies have made over $10 billion worldwide.
$10 billion.
That number, it doesn't just make him bankable, it puts him in this tiny, tiny elite category of global entertainers.
Right.
But for us, what the sources really reveal is kind of a roadmap, a study of how to cross over, how to sustain superstardom, which then all climaxed in a single chaotic moment that, it redefined everything.
So our mission today is to really analyze that entire arc. We have a mountain of material here covering every strategic pivot from his beginnings as a rapper in Philly all the way to becoming a global icon.
And we're going to be pulling out the key milestones, looking at the intentional strategy that let him transcend all those boundaries.
We'll also examine the surprising failures, the ones that caused, deep personal reflection.
Yeah.
And of course, we have to give the necessary space to that seismic shift in his public image after the 2022 Oscars.
It's a career that's really defined by this stark duality. It's almost perfectly bookended by these two historical achievements.
What are those bookends?
Well, on one side, you have the very beginning. He was one half of the first rap act to ever win a Grammy Award.
Incredible.
Then, 40 years later, you have the absolute professional pinnacle. He becomes only the 5th Black actor in history to win the Academy Award for Best Actor.
Two towering moments, just huge cultural and professional recognition.
Exactly. But they're separated by a sequence of events so dramatic they almost feel like they're from a movie script.
Well,
so we really need to understand the foundations he built before everything, went sideways.
Okay, let's do that. Let's unpack this from the very earliest influences. Willard Carroll Smith II, born September 25, 1968, in Philadelphia.
Yep, grew up in the Winfield neighborhood. He was raised Baptist, but, and this is interesting, he attended a private Catholic elementary school.
So you already have that mix right there,
Yeah.
that kind of neighborhood grit mixed with a more institutional structured education.
That tension is absolutely key. His mother, Caroline Bright, was a school board administrator. So, she's the personification of structure, of education.
Okay.
And his father, Willard Carroll Smith Sr., was an Air Force veteran and a refrigeration engineer. So there's the discipline and the practicality.
And Smith has often said that balance is what gave him his ambition.
His relentless ambition, yeah. And his ability to execute these really complex long-term plans. But the most significant influence on his professional life, on his brand, comes from this one very personal story about his grandmother.
The story of the defining rule. This is fascinating. He starts rapping at, 12 years old?
Around 12, yeah. And he's scribbling lyrics in a notebook, probably filled with the kind of stuff you'd expect from an early 80s hip-hop fan. Aggressive, maybe some explicit language.
And his grandmother finds the notebook.
She finds it. She sees all his little curse words, as he put it. But instead of, grounding him or something, she does something much more profound.
She offers a critique.
A brand critique, really. She writes him a note that basically dictates his public persona for the next 20 years. It said, "Dear Willard, truly intelligent people do not have to use words like this to express themselves. Please show the world that you're as smart as we think you are."
That is it's an astonishing moment of proactive branding from his grandma.
I mean, think about it.
That single note basically engineered his decision to never use profanity in his music. In the world of hip-hop back then, which was often edgy, that wasn't just a style choice.
No, it was a radical commercial differentiator. It set him completely apart.
Precisely. That clean, wholesome, family-friendly Fresh Prince brand gave him an immediate competitive advantage.
It let him cross demographics, it let him cross media. He was palatable to mainstream America, and crucially, he was palatable to network TV executives who were still pretty hesitant about the whole genre.
He became the friendly, accessible face of hip-hop culture.
And that persona is what launched his career with DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
So tell us about how that group actually formed.
The group officially gets going in 1985. You have Smith as the MC, DJ Jazzy Jeff Towns as the producer and turntablist, and Ready Rock C on beatbox.
And Smith and Towns met just by chance, right?
Pure chance. Smith was filling in for a hype man who didn't show up to a party a few doors down from his house in Philly. They just realized they had this immediate electric chemistry. Townes' scratching techniques and Smith's clean, playful rhymes just clicked.
And that combination worked right away. Their first single in '86, Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble, was a sign of that broad appeal. They even sampled the I Dream of Jeannie theme song.
The success wasn't just immediate, it was historic. In 1989, they became the first rap act to ever win a Grammy Award.
For parents just don't understand.
Exactly. Just think about how significant that is. They broke the barrier for hip-hop into one of the most prestigious and, let's be honest, historically resistant American music institutions.
And they followed that up by being the first rap act to win an MTV Video Music Award for Best Rap Video.
So they weren't just participating in the culture, they were pioneering its mainstream acceptance.
And that dominance just kept going. The 1991 hit Summertime was huge, got them a second Grammy. They were, it seemed, on top of the world. But behind this squeaky clean, Grammy-winning image, there was a financial time bomb just ticking away.
And this is the critical structural element that dictates his entire career pivot, the colossal financial reckoning.
What happened?
Around 1988, 1989, even with all the success, Smith was spending money like crazy, and critically, he just wasn't paying his taxes. So the IRS eventually hit him with a devastating tax debt.
How much are we talking?
$2.8 million.
Wow. In the late 80s, that's an unbelievable amount of money, enough to ruin almost anyone.
Oh, for sure. And the IRS was not playing around. They seized his possessions, started garnishing his income. He was in serious trouble by 1990.
And that financial desperation is what created the opportunity for his next move.
Exactly. NBC steps in specifically to build a sitcom around his persona.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Right. So the show that became this huge cultural watershed moment for hip-hop and black television was, at its core, an involuntary career move.
It was a debt repayment plan.
That's the essential insight. He took the show because he desperately needed the steady income from network TV to keep the IRS at bay. The show was the perfect vehicle for his grandmother's rule, that clean, funny persona.
It made him a commercially viable, cross-racial commodity.
And as one source noted, the character's journey from West Philly to Bel-Air basically repositioned his black identity in mainstream media. It set the whole foundation for his global film career.
It saved him financially, launched his acting career, and solidified a brand persona that was ready for global consumption.
What a lesson, right? A clean persona, born from a note from his grandma, was activated by a $2.8 million debt.
So once he's financially stable and a TV star, Smith shifts his focus to film. And he does it with this remarkable intentionality. The sources are clear. He didn't just want to be an actor. He set a mission to become the biggest movie star in the world.
This is where the strategic analysis really gets interesting. He didn't just stumble into it. He reportedly studied the common characteristics of box office hits to literally reverse engineer his own path to the top.
So what did he find? What was his formula?
The sources suggest he saw that the true global stars, the biggest ones, they weren't defined by just prestige dramas. They were defined by massive, universally accessible films.
Action, comedy, science fiction.
Exactly. The genres that transcend cultural barriers, especially sci-fi and action, were the key to getting to that $10 billion career threshold he eventually hit.
And he must have realized that his clean image was a huge asset in those genres.
A profound asset. It made him a non-threatening, accessible hero to diverse international audiences. He could step into roles that were traditionally reserved for white leads without alienating a huge chunk of the potential audience.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So let's track that intentional crossover. He did 6 Degrees of Separation in '93, which gave him some critical credibility.
Right, it showed he could act.
But the real commercial explosion was Bad Boys in 1995.
Bad Boys was an enormous strategic win. It positioned him as a truly bankable action star, opposite Martin Lawrence. It made a ton of money globally and proved he could draw a crowd beyond his TV audience.
And then, crucially, he followed that up almost immediately with Roland Emmerich's Independence Day in 1996.
And Independence Day it was history-making at the time.
It was huge.
Unadjusted for inflation, that film became the second highest-grossing film in history when it was released. This wasn't a slow build to stardom. This was an instant launch into the stratosphere.
He was a global household name overnight.
No question. It cemented his status as a global box office draw, and he capitalized on it immediately by launching his first big franchise a year later.
Men in Black.
Yeah.
1997 with Tommy Lee Jones.
A monumental hit. Grossed over $500 million worldwide, became the third highest-grossing film of that year. So that period, 96 to 97, that's when he achieved his stated goal. He became a global behemoth by choosing these massive, specific genre blockbusters.
And here's where the synergy becomes just masterful. The same summer Men in Black comes out, he strategically relaunches his music career as a solo artist.
And ties the theme song directly to the movie.
It's genius.
He created a feedback loop. His debut solo album, Big Willie Style, which had the theme song, was certified 9 times platinum. The movie sold the music, and the infectious, fun music helped promote the movie.
And the music success just kept coming. He won the Grammy for Best Rap Solo Performance for Men in Black in '98.
And then did it again the very next year for Gettin' Jiggy With It,
which became his first #1 single in the U.S.
The momentum was just unstoppable. He kept it going with his second album, Millennium, in 1999, which had another #1 single, Wild Wild West.
Right, another movie tie-in.
The movie itself may have been a critical dud, but the song was a huge commercial hit. The whole machine was just running perfectly, fusing both careers seamlessly.
So moving into the 2000s, the strategy evolves a bit. He's already achieved blockbuster status. Now it seems like he was seeking prestige to get that long-term credibility in Hollywood.
That's right. The first major push for the Academy came in 2001 with Michael Mann's Ali.
A huge undertaking.
Oh, a deeply demanding, transformative role. Portraying Muhammad Ali instantly put him in the conversation for serious dramatic awards. And it worked. He earned his first Oscar nomination for Best Actor.
And that showed he could get critical acclaim while also delivering enormous box office returns for the studios.
That balanced prestige and financial reliability is incredibly rare. And he kept the financial side going with Bad Boys II in 2003, which made hundreds of millions. Then I, Robot, and Shark Tale in 2004.
But 2006 marked a return to that deeply personal prestige work.
The Pursuit of Happiness was a landmark film for him. Co-starring with his own son, Jaden, and playing the real-life Chris Gardner, he delivered a performance that reviewers just consistently called his most mature, most emotionally resonant work to date.
And that got him his second Oscar nomination for Best Actor.
So he was successfully maintaining both tracks, the critical and the commercial.
He then closes out this incredible era of dominance with I Am Legend in 2007. What was the impact of that film?
It was enormous. I Am Legend set a record for the largest opening ever for a December release in the U.S. at the time. At that point, the sources confirm it, his standing was completely solidified. Reviewers, analysts, they all called him the #1 box office draw in Hollywood.
So he had done it. He had successfully executed his plan, starting with the debt crisis and ending in total global commercial supremacy.
Okay, so he's hit the absolute peak. He's the #1 box office draw. The next decade, though, it shows some fluctuations.
It starts strong, right? Hancock in 2008 and Men in Black 3 in 2012 both made massive amounts of money. Maybe 3 was the highest-grossing film in the series.
Right, those were the financial anchors, the franchise returns that kept the engine running. But for a deep dive like this period is just as much defined by the strategic missteps.
And the roles he rejected.
Exactly. If the first phase was all about intentional, successful strategy, this phase is about the consequences of failed judgment.
Let's get into those rejections. The first, and maybe the most famous, is turning down the role of Neo in The Matrix.
For Wild Wild West, of all things, it's the stuff of Hollywood legend.
It's the ultimate irony, isn't it? After being so meticulous about studying what makes a hit.
He chose the big, loud, clear commercial vehicle that used his music persona, Wild Wild West, over the riskier, more complex, philosophical sci-fi film. And he's since admitted that Wild Wild West was a mistake.
But what's so remarkable is his reason for rejecting The Matrix. Even looking back, he said he had no regrets, claiming that Keanu Reeves was just superior for the role than he would have been.
It's rare to hear that. It's an instance of strategic humility. It suggests he understood his own limitations at that time. He preferred to stick to the formula that had made him the biggest star in the world.
Clear, high-concept action.
Right. The second major rejection was Christopher Nolan's Inception.
Another role that went to a huge star. Leonardo DiCaprio.
And again, his reasoning is telling. He admitted he turned down the lead because he did not understand the story.
It solidifies a pattern. When he was faced with complex, artistically ambitious material that required a leap of faith, he defaulted to rejection.
It potentially cost him roles in two of the most critically successful and enduring sci-fi films of the last 25 years.
But the real professional and personal low point, the one that forced him to really self-reflect, involved his family.
That was After Earth in 2013, co-starring with Jaden.
It was a disaster.
A domestic box office disaster, and it was critically panned. It was seen as a vanity project, a highly controlled effort that just failed spectacularly. And Smith's public comments afterward were unusually candid.
He called it the most painful failure in my career.
And he admitted the failure wasn't just financial, it was deeply emotional and professional for him. It really hit him hard.
And his reaction was a strategic retreat.
Absolutely. He took a year and a half off from acting. That profound setback seems to have triggered a necessary pivot, a move away from those huge, controlled vanity projects and toward roles that demanded more depth.
So that shift leads him to explore heavier themes, starting with Concussion in 2015.
Yes, playing Dr. Bennett Omalu, the physician who battled the NFL over CTE. It was a high-stakes dramatic role. Smith even said he had deep doubts about taking it, especially since his son played football.
But he was swayed by Omalu's story.
He was, and his performance was widely praised as sensitive and understated. It showed he could deliver dramatic complexity outside of his usual blockbuster comfort zone.
He followed that with Collateral Beauty in 2016. Commercially, it was weak. In fact, it was the lowest box office opening of his entire career.
It was,
Yeah.
but it was personally profound for him.
The timing was incredible.
Deeply resonant. He signed on shortly before his father was diagnosed with cancer, and his father passed away in 2016. Smith said he used the role preparation, reading about religion and the afterlife, as a way to cope. He called it a beautiful way to prepare for a movie, and an even more majestic way to say goodbye to my father.
Wow, so he was using his work for emotional processing.
Clearly. Then, as the decade closed, he embraced new platforms, like Netflix, showing that his bankability could still trump critical acclaim.
Right, 2017.
Netflix's most expensive film at the time. It was critically slammed. One source called it a mountainous pile of genre-blending garbage.
I remember the reviews. They were brutal.
Brutal. But it broke Netflix's first-week viewing record. It proved his brand power was so immense that he could transcend bad reviews and still pull in a massive audience.
But the true return to mega blockbuster status was Aladdin in 2019, playing the genie.
A stunning commercial achievement. It grossed over $1 billion worldwide. It officially surpassed Independence Day to become his highest-grossing film ever.
Which set the stage for his final massive prestige acquisition, Emancipation.
That film was sold to Apple Studios for $120 million, a new record for a film festival acquisition deal at the time. The whole machine was just operating at peak efficiency, creating the perfect runway for his most decorated role.
King Richard.
Playing Richard Williams, the father and coach of Venus and Serena Williams, was the culmination of his decades-long pursuit of major dramatic recognition.
And he won everything.
The full sweep. The Academy Award, Golden Globe, BAFTA, and the Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Actor. He finally reached the professional summit, becoming the 5th black actor to win the Best Actor Oscar.
And this professional apex happened right as he released his very candid memoir, Will.
Which is fascinating timing. He's laying bare all this childhood trauma, his experiences with ayahuasca, just as he's getting the industry's highest honor.
Right, the revelations about his marriage, wanting a polyamorous relationship with Halle Berry and Misty Copeland.
It showed a public figure grappling with these profound personal truths in public. And all of it was leading directly into the most chaotic night of his entire career.
Okay, so this is the point where the decades-long, carefully engineered narrative just explodes. We go from the absolute peak of professional validation to instantaneous global controversy. March 27, 2022, the 94th Academy Awards.
Yeah, let's walk through it as it happened.
The setting is the presentation for Best Documentary Feature. Chris Rock is the presenter.
And he makes an unscripted joke referencing Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, comparing her to the character in G.I. Jane.
And we should note, Pinkett Smith has been public since 2018 about her diagnosis with alopecia, which causes hair loss.
Right. And initially, if you watch the tape, Will Smith seems to laugh, but his wife's discomfort, her reaction, that's what triggers the physical response.
That's the pivot point. He walks directly onto the stage and slaps Chris Rock across the face.
Then he returns to his seat and doubles down, shouting twice, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth."
And the entire thing is broadcast live. It goes viral instantly, just global chaos.
And the reaction from the Academy itself was, well, by all accounts, it was disorganized and conflicted in the moment.
Institutional paralysis.
Completely. AMPAS has since said they asked him to leave, but he refused, and yet he was allowed to stay. Moments later, he wins the award for Best Actor for King Richard.
His acceptance speech was emotional. He apologized to the Academy, to the other nominees.
But not to Chris Rock. Not at that time.
And here's the ultimate contradiction. He got 2 standing ovations during that speech, which suggests that even in the room, there was this profound confusion and maybe even some endorsement of what he did.
It speaks to the power of his banked public goodwill. But once the immediacy of the moment wore off, the consequences started to mount.
The LAPD confirmed Rock declined to press charges, so the legal threat was gone.
But the institutional and public image damage was severe. Smith issued a formal apology on Instagram saying he was out of line and that violence is poisonous.
But the Academy had to act. They couldn't just let that stand.
No way. So on April 1st, Smith proactively resigned from the Academy. It was a preemptive move. He said he was heartbroken and wanted to pin the focus back on the other winners.
And a week later, AMPAS announced their decision.
A much harsher one. A 10-year ban from attending all future Oscar galas and associated events.
Just staggering. He wins the highest award of his life and is simultaneously banned from the party for a decade.
Smith just issued a brief statement saying he accepted and respected the decision. But the professional impact was immediate and chilling. Several big film projects were instantly paused.
What was the biggest commercial casualty?
Netflix canceled production on his action film Fast and Loose. That was the first concrete sign that the controversy had hurt his immediate bankability. Studios were hesitant to put huge money behind his suddenly volatile public image.
And even Emancipation, which had that record-breaking deal, it came out later in 2022 and was a commercial failure.
And its failure was directly attributed, at least in part, to his involvement after the incident.
So let's talk about the key thing here, the damage to his public image. For 40 years, he had meticulously crafted this image of the clean, morally upstanding family man. How quickly did that shatter?
Instantaneously. The sources all emphasized that the damage wasn't just to his career, it was to his entire brand identity. Commentators noted it tarnished his reputation as a morally upstanding family man and damaged the family brand they'd built.
One source said he went from being a beloved film favorite to Hollywood villain.
In the space of 3 minutes, the event was immortalized as a meme, which just intensified the ridicule. Smith did offer a more comprehensive on-camera apology in July 2022, saying he was deeply remorseful.
So the question for you, the listener, is when a public figure spends decades building this flawless strategic wall, what happens when they punch the first hole in it themselves? The answer seems to be a total reassessment of their entire history.
But despite that unprecedented fallout, the sources are now showing that Will Smith is exhibiting profound resilience and a strategic creative rebirth.
And it seems he's doing it by addressing the very context that fueled the chaos: his personal life and his relationship with Jada Pinkett Smith.
That relationship context is essential. They married in 1997, and they've always defined their commitment in unconventional terms. They've joked about having a bad marriage for life and have openly discussed extramarital relationships or entanglements.
But the revelation in October 2023 just completely reframed the whole dynamic for the public.
It fundamentally changed the narrative. Pinkett Smith revealed they had been formally separated since 2016.
For 6 years before the Oscars incident.
6 years. They were living separate lives, committed to this unconventional, publicly maintained partnership. It adds this tragic layer of pressure to the moment. He was defending the honor of a partner from whom he was already distanced, all while trying to maintain the public facade of a united family brand.
It really makes you wonder about the emotional cost of maintaining that image, especially when their kids, Jaden and Willow, are also in the entertainment industry and part of the family business, Westbrook Inc.
The machine requires maintenance, but the professional infrastructure was robust enough to support his return. Despite the post-slap pause, he's strategically leaning back into his successful franchises.
He knows audience nostalgia is a powerful counterweight to controversy.
For sure. The announcement of Bad Boys, Ride or Die, the fourth one, was major news in 2023. And what's most strategic is the reported decision to put a comedic moment about the Oscars incident in the film.
That's a masterstroke of damage control.
It is. By inserting a self-aware comedic moment referencing the slap, he's trying to neutralize the issue with humor. He's acknowledging it, showing self-awareness, and signaling to the audience that he's ready to move past it.
He wants them to laugh with him. not at him.
Exactly. It's a crucial step toward public reconciliation.
And what other big projects are on the slate for his return?
He's actively developing the sequel to I Am Legend with Michael B. Jordan, which confirms that studios still have confidence in his high-concept genre appeal.
And there are new sci-fi films, Brilliance and Resistor.
Yes. And even more telling, his production company, Westspring, secured a multi-year first-look film deal with Paramount in 2025.
So the major studios are betting on the long-term bankability of the Will Smith brand.
They're viewing the Oscars incident as a short-term reputational hurdle, not a career killer.
And beyond script and film, he's also cultivating that global, accessible personality with that big National Geographic Disney Plus series.
Pole to pole. It's a massive 26,000-mile trek from the South Pole to the North Pole. It's smart non-film work because it repositions him as an approachable global explorer, which actively counterbalances the image of the volatile Hollywood actor.
And part of the filming even led to a scientific discovery, right?
The northern green anaconda. It gives him positive headlines that have absolutely nothing to do with Hollywood drama.
And finally, the creative rebirth is fully expressed in his return to music, the very foundation of his career. The sources say the new material is his most personal.
This is a highly calculated return. It's designed to reconnect with his roots and, potentially offer lyrical processing of the trauma of the last few years.
And the return has been aggressive. His first solo single in almost 20 years, You Can Make It, dropped in June 2024.
He followed that quickly with Work of Art in July, featuring his son Jaden, showing a renewed focus on family and collaboration.
And the December single Tantrum with Joyner Lucas, that's a powerful title. It suggests he's leaning directly into the emotional volatility of his recent past.
Absolutely. And it's all culminating in his 5th studio album, based on a true story, scheduled for release on March 28, 2025. The title alone suggests a move toward complete autobiographical honesty. This album might be the ultimate vehicle for him to publicly process the events of 2022.
So if we connect all this to the bigger picture, the accolades and the cultural significance, they remain undeniable.
He has 4 Grammys, a Caesar Award, numerous MTV Movie Awards. He's cited as a cultural pioneer for rappers crossing over into acting. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is still a watershed moment for hip-hop and Black television.
And there's a physical, undeniable recognition that just happened, which is impossible to ban or take back.
Correct. On March 26, 2025, a block of 59th Street in West Philadelphia was renamed Will Smith Way.
Wow.
That tangible honor in the city where it all began permanently enshrines his status as a cultural innovator, regardless of the temporary banishment from Hollywood awards stages.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, as we synthesize this entire arc? He is an innovator who used a financial crisis to forge this commercially infallible brand. He became a generational talent, a financial titan, only to see it all come crashing down in a single emotional televised moment.
He's a study in public brand architecture versus raw human impulse. He went from dealing with a $2.8 million tax debt as a young rapper to winning the industry's highest honor, all while navigating one of the most publicly scrutinized personal lives in modern history. His ability to achieve the highest success and commit the most publicized, career-damaging transgression on the very same night is a paradox that will define his legacy.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought. Smith achieved the absolute pinnacle of his career, the Best Actor Oscar, and committed his most damaging public failure on the exact same stage on the very same night. How long does the stain of a single infamous viral moment truly persist in the court of public opinion versus the decades of strategic, groundbreaking, artistic, and commercial achievement that came before it?
Yeah. Will the headline about Will Smith 10 years from now lead with Oscar winner and billion-dollar star, or will it forever be the actor who slapped Chris Rock?
His creative rebirth is testing the very limits of public forgiveness against the permanence of digital memory.
Indeed. It's a fascinating, unfolding narrative of human failure and resilience. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.